Good morning, everyone. I have an early start. This is Saturday morning, 10:15. I'm going to do a couple of experiments, so you guys don't have to. You can pick out the type of pouring you like best. What I'm going to do, this is the one I did last week, and I was just, I've been looking at this all week. The only thing I've done is added a little bit of accents here. This is gold metallic, and later on I'm going to use a little bit of glitter, very fine art glitter, and with a little bit of medium, I'm going to push some of that glitter in all these spots, because I think that's going to even make it even more prettier. And I'm really sort of hooked on this, so I'm gonna do a lot of these this weekend because I want to get the hang of it, that I can reproduce it every time. So what I've done, the background color, this is all Vallejo, and I'm going to be using unbleached titanium, teal. This one is a trans oxide yellow, and I'm going to use the burnt sienna. And then the background is going to be the unbleached titanium, and it's all going to be mixed with, let me screw on the cap before I spill it, and I'm going to do it with this Floetrol. Now that's all that's going to be in there. So it's going to be Vallejo paint with Floetrol. And I'll show you how I mix it, because otherwise I'll get a lot of questions about how much to put in. The thing with, as you can see, I've already done the bleached titanium, so I'm going to move on to the teal. Always shake these bottles, that's very important. Never just open the cap and use it. You always have to shake it. I'm going to put a little bit in, not so much. And that's the thing, people, because a lot of people think, that's too expensive and I can buy cheaper paint. But you don't need that much, because these paints are so highly pigmented that you don't really have to worry about not having enough pigment. As you can see how much I put in there. I think I put, well, let's say, how much would that be? You know what, with the next one I'll just I'll weigh it so you guys have a clue how much that is. Now, stirring it up. And of course there will be no silicone, none whatsoever. And it is coming off the stick pretty well. I might even put in a little bit of water. Not sure yet. Let me get the scales. Yeah, I'll put you on pause and then I'll come back. Okay, we're back. Now, I'll do the yellow one. So we put the cup on the scale. We'll level it out to 0. Shake up the paint, of course. And I'm going to put in, let's see, that's 5 grams. 5 grams of paint. And then I'm going to put in up to 35. Oops, that's a little bit more. But say 35 grams in total, so that's 30 grams of Floetrol. And then when we start to mix it up, now remember that the Floetrol, it will affect the colors. So when you're going to pour it, it's going to be lighter than when it is all dry, because Floetrol dries transparent and you won't see any of it. It'll just leave the color of the paint. So don't worry about that. That's that one. Then I want this one, and I'm not going to make too much of this one. So let's see. It's not even weighing anything. Don't know what's wrong with it. So we'll put it back on 0. I see how much we got in there. 4 grams. Okay. But I don't want that much of that. And really, there is no really a measurement you have to remember. You just put some in. Really, it's no problem whatsoever. There is no, you don't do it wrong or right if you put in more or less. But I'm just showing you how much color there is when you add this to your Floetrol. And this is because it's really highly pigmented. So that one. And then we still have, let's see, which one did we skip? Oh no, we got all 3 colors. I think I'll have enough with that. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of bubbles in there, which I really don't like. There's one thing I really think is, it really doesn't add to the pour, and that is those bubbles. So I'm gonna let them pop up a little bit and smooth them out. This goes faster than with the other type of paint. As you can see, it's already smoothing out pretty much, and the bubbles are disappearing. See, even tapping just, you know, makes them pop. So it's really different. Now I'm testing the consistency. It is pretty flowy, but for this type of painting, I think we need to have it just a tad bit thinner. So I'm going to add a tiny bit of water just to make it flowier. Because of the way we're going to pour it, you know, you want those nice feathers to pop up. Okay, this one, not too much, just a really little bit. And because this is all paint and all Floetrol, you know, you're only adding, I don't know, maybe 2% water. And you can go up to 30, so that's no problem whatsoever. Just a little bit more in here. And I know that when you use another brand of Floetrol, it'll be thinner. So, well, you'll have to figure that out on your own, because all I use is the Ovatrol Floetrol. And that it comes pretty thick. I think they've thickened it up even more than it used to be, because I can remember where it wasn't that thick at all. Let's see. Yeah, I'm still thinking it's a little bit too thick, because if it's too thick, you know, those feather things don't work out that well. But we'll see. Now, the next one I'm going to do when I'm done with this pour, the next one I'll do with the pouring medium, Vallejo pouring medium, and I'm going to take the normal one, and then I'm going to do one with the thick pouring medium. Unless the normal pouring medium is too thick, then we won't have to try the extra thick pouring medium, because then I'd have to water it down way too much. Okay. We're done. See what this is. Maybe a little. Okay, we're gonna let it sit a little bit so the little bubbles can come to the surface. And what I usually do is just use the torch, just pop it over here. And you don't want to keep it on there or you'll get one of those little skin things, and you don't want those. Okay guys, I'm going to stop for a bit because I do want to let the bubbles out a little bit more, and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and most of the bubbles are gone, and we're going to layer the paint in the cup. I'm going to layer it with the tout pointing that way because that's the way it's going to come out. So we're putting in the colors. And the blue. The yellow. Okay, as you can see, we layered them all on top, but the thing is that I would like to have it. Oh, I see some is going to turn green. Yes, okay, let's just do it. And I see a lot of yellow coming out first. I don't want that, so I'm going to give it a little swirl. See that? Just a little one. And this is very different pouring than the other one. It's coming out a lot thicker. And I'm going to stop right there, but as you can see, it does have a neat little pattern, and we're going to let it run down a little bit. And still keep some of the pattern intact. But I am going to pour from the other side. And a little bit around it. Just to give it a little bit of a different look. Now the thing that I wasn't expecting that I'd lose all the darker brown, but okay, you can't help it. If that happens, it happens. So I cut off the little spout, and we're going to do some adding of the paint. And of course we're going to make sure that it's going to run over. But first we're going to turn it a little. And that is really pretty how it flows into the background color. That is really cute. Okay, that's what we got there. Now this type of pouring, you do get to really manipulate it more than with other types of pouring. And like I said, I always cut out of some waterproof paper. I'll cut out something to pull the to pull this down a little bit, because there's a lot of paint on the canvas, and eventually you do want it to dry. So pulling it down there, and we want to keep most of this intact. So by just pulling it down like this, that's how you get that. letting it run up a little bit and down a little bit just to see how it moves. Oops, a little bit contaminated there, don't know how that got in there. Okay, that's looking good. Then a little bit more. Okay. Because we want to make it swoop a little bit. This I'm going to smooth out. And there it is, already covered. Now I am going to help this along a little bit, just to give it a little bit more something that is pretty to look at. From up there, I don't think you really see what I'm doing, but maybe you are, I'm not sure. I'm just pulling along this, what I like, and just making it come down a little bit. And every time I'm cleaning off my little stick, that's important. There it is. And I'd like this to have a little bit more of a flow to it. That's it. Now remember, this is pretty light, but when the Floetrol has dried, these colors will intensify. So we want to, you know, sort of keep that in the back of your head. And when you mix your paints, you have to keep that in mind. That's going to happen. I do need a brush, because the sides, I didn't do the sides. And thinking about it right now, what I would do, I would absolutely recommend doing a background paint before you pour on top of it, because as you can see, if you have to do it now, it's a lot of work. Sort of covering it a little bit, making sure the corners are done. Here I have to do something because this one's not coming down. Now it is. Don't be afraid to add a little bit more paint if you think you need it. Okay, pull this down a little bit. I'll do the rest offline because that's pretty tedious stuff. Okay, now you do want to torch it. And of course, you're going to get a couple of pinholes, which can't be avoided. And look at that, the brown is popping up, which we don't want at this moment in time. Okay, well, and of course, if you don't like those little pinholes, this is the time that you want to take your little stick and manipulate the paint so the little pinholes disappear. Now this takes a lot of time, and the thing is that you can do different techniques. The one is that you clean your toothpick every time you run it through the paint, like I'm doing now. But on the other hand, I sort of like where you leave a little bit of the paint on there, because it gives you these really cute little patterns. And of course, when you're doing this, you know, you have total control over where you're going to spread the paint, the patterns you're making. So for the people that just by pouring don't get the satisfaction of really being hands-on with the paint, I would say you try this, because this really makes you feel that you have control. This one here I don't like, that little round thing. And you can just play with this, well, for as long as you want, because this stays wet for at least 24 hours. But I would say if you're going to do something like this manipulation to the paint, I would do that for about up to a half an hour, and then I'd stop, because I think otherwise it will maybe have a little bit of skin forming on the top, and you don't want to put your toothpick through that, because then it gets really ugly. So I'm just manipulating the pinhole things. Up here now they're all gone. Down here you still see some pinholes, and you just keep going through them like that, sort of making them, merging them into the background so you don't see them that much. And I think it's kind of cute to do this. It really adds to the painting. Here they're gone, and here you still see some. That's why you can still use your little sticky. As soon as you go through a couple of colors, then it's important that you clean the stick. As long as you're in one color, it's not such a big deal. Here's some that I don't like. And another thing, I'm not going to worry about the length of the video anymore. You know, if this is for you is not interesting to watch, you know, the fast forward button is below, and you can click it and you can speed forward, and there'll be no waiting for me to get through this. And I don't mind, really, I don't. It's okay. Okay, I think we are ready. These pinholes, what popped up here, you don't want to mess with those because they're in the pattern. You could do it, but you'd have to have a real steady hand, because you're going to be manipulating the pattern that the paint left also. And that's sort of that, I think, do you want to do that? I'm going to do it now just to see how that works. Well, it does get rid of a few of those. But you have to be very careful not to disrupt those feathers that you created, right? Okay, guys, I'm going to put this one away. I'm going to work on the sides a little more because I see a lot of canvas. But once that's ready, I'm going to put it away. And we're going to pour with the Vallejo pouring medium, which I expect will be a little bit easier because I found this to be hard, to tell you the truth. It was a little bit gooey, if you know what I mean. The Floetrol is a little thick, and then when you pour and you try to make those little feathers, the thing is that it gets a little gooey, and you can't really make those nice little feathers by, you know, going back and forth with the with this thing. Okay, looks better. That's okay, I can fix that. Okay, let me put this away, and I'm gonna do a few little squishes. Walking really fast here. Okay, let's see if we can get some of that brown out. No, not really. It really merged into the back. I'm glad it really didn't come out because it makes it look sort of muddy too. So I'm sort of glad it didn't work. Let's see. Nah. It's not something that I'd keep. I don't really think this is pretty. But I'll let it dry. Maybe that's a good thing. I'll just let it dry and show you how the colors intensify. I can do that. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Love you all to pieces as usual. And I will be back with another medium.